Also, let me record this meeting. So as I said, we will be trying to integrate JDBC template object in our Spring MVC framework, right? So we'll try to understand by executing the CRUD operations through the web interface by using JDBC template object and connecting to the database, right? So first of all, we will be trying to do the setup of database first, then we'll prepare the appropriate JDBC template usage within our Spring MVC application. So who would like to share the screen, Pasha? I am making you the presenter. So please share your screen. So we'll start from the creation of a database table. Pasha, you are the presenter. Can you please share your screen? Yeah. And can you quickly check if you have the database table called search engine? If it is not there, we will be trying to create a new table. So go to your this thing, pgadmin. Is your pgadmin launching? Yeah, let it get launched. And also meanwhile you launch your Eclipse also. Eclipse is waiting at the launcher. So just select that workspace. So meanwhile your Eclipse will also get launched. Yeah. So the database that we are working is MyDB. Let's double click on that one and go to the public schema and also the tables. Check that do you have the table called search underscore engine? It is not there, right? So please create this one. Launch the SQL editor by clicking that SQL icon on the top of this pgadmin screen and copy the create table statement that I pasted here. So many pgadmin instances have opened, so please close. That many need not be kept open. Yeah, close the ones which are not connected yet. Just keep only one pgadmin open which is connected. Hmm. Is the table got created? Right. So once the table is created, let's feed some sample rows into the table. So copy all these insert statements and then execute them. I pasted all the insert statements. Copy all of those insert statements. Go back to your SQL editor again. Run them. After you executed them, just say select star from search underscore engine. Start from search underscore engine. From. Star space. Right, so you got all the 5 rows of data there. Right, so that means all table got created and all the rows got inserted over there. Now go to Eclipse and let us create a new project. We'll try to create a new Maven project. Yeah, close all these things and click File, New. Yeah, right now you are in the Java perspective. Please switch it from Java to Java EE perspective. Maven project. Click the next button. Here you need to pick that Maven web app. Scroll till to the end. Last one, Maven archetype web app you can select. And then click the next button. And group ID is already mentioned. Just mention the artifact ID, which is nothing but the name of the project. Okay. So here mention it as Spring MVC JDBC APP. So we are trying to create the JDBC integration with Spring MVC. MVC JDBC APP. Okay, click the finish button. Alright, let it get created. It is creating that Maven application. 99% is done. Done. Got it. So once it is done, you can see that it is showing error. So right click on that. Yeah, go to build path, configure build path, add library, server runtime, click the next button, select your Apache Tomcat, finish. So as soon as this runtime server is added, so that will fix the problem right now. Yeah, error is gone away. Do you see any errors now? If no errors, it should run. Right click on your Spring MVC JDBC app, click the refresh option. Yeah, or you can press F5. Yeah, no more errors. Just try to run that one. It should be launching your right click, run as run on server. Okay, it is going to launch the browser page wherein you will be able to see the very first page, which is index.jsp by default considered as the welcome file of this Maven based web application. Right, so fine. That indicates that your server is up and running, means your project, the Maven web project, got created successfully. Yeah, you can stop. You can stop your server. Just click that red button on console, and also you can close your browser. Right. And the very first thing that we'll try to do is let us bring all those Spring dependencies with the help of our pom.xml. So please open that pom.xml which got created in your project. First of all, let us define the properties into this. Click the pom.xml at the last tab. Last tab at the bottom. Right. Copy these properties that I pasted here. After the line number 9, you can paste them. Press Ctrl Shift F. And meanwhile, you can keep the Java resources Maven dependencies tab open in your Project Explorer. Go to your Project Explorer, click on Java resources, and keep that libraries tab open, libraries, Maven dependencies, so that you can observe what all the dependencies we are keep on adding. So right now only one dependency by default added, which is JUnit. The version is 3.8.1. So let us remove that 3.8.1 thing and let us put our JUnit version property that you declared on line number 12. So copy this version tag that I pasted and replace your line number 19. Alright. Now save that. You can observe that JUnit 4.11.jar along with that ham crest thing is also defined there. Now similar to this, let us define the Spring dependencies. Copy this dependency tag, paste it after line number 21. Save that. And you can see that Spring context, Spring AOP, AOP alliance, Spring beans, Spring core, right? Commons logging, Spring expression, all the core container jar files got added there, right? Now press enter after line 26 and paste the same thing. Control V. Just remove that Spring context on artifact ID and make it Spring-JDBC. Spring-JDBC. Save that. You can observe Spring-JDBC jar as well as Spring TX jar are added to your Maven dependencies list. Right? Now after line 31 press enter and paste it again. And this time edit it as Spring-Web. Spring-Web is your artifact ID. Save that and observe the changes. Right? Spring Web also added. Then press enter after line 36 and paste it once again, which is going to add Spring-Web MVC. Try to modify it as Spring-Web MVC. Web is added. Now we need to add Web MVC also. Right. Save that. You can observe that new jar file got added. Right. So this is how all the Spring dependencies are added. Now to connect to the database, we also needed to have the JDBC jar of PostgreSQL. So let us bring that dependency. And also we wanted to work with the JSTL tag libraries and all, like core tag library, formatting, all that. So let us bring that JSTL jar also. So copy these dependencies. So we are not copying any jar files. We are just configuring all these things inside our pom.xml in the form of dependencies. Right, so copy all these dependencies and paste there. Just replace that ampersand LT thing. Save that. So this is all done for your pom.xml. Okay. So now let us create the packages. So what are the packages we wanted to have? So go there to src main Java. So we wanted to construct a layered architecture here. Right click on that src main Java and create a new package. Name it as com.spring.practice.pojo. So all Pojo classes will try to keep it here. Spring.practice. You can copy till here. com.spring.practice you can copy. Control C. Then .pojo. Right. So all Pojos will try to keep it here. So just click finish. Okay. Then create another package in the same folder. com.spring.practice.dao. Data access layer we wanted to define here. So all those objects would like to keep here. Then one more package com.spring.practice.service. So it will provide the service classes. As per the real-time scenario, we are trying to define those packages. Then controller. So all controller components will be writing in one package. So create one more package com.spring.practice. Okay, so we created all the 4 packages there. Now let us create the Pojos, row mappers, all such classes inside our com.spring.practice.pojo class. So first of all, let us create a Pojo class. Right click on that Pojo package and create a new class which is going to replicate my table. Search engine. Search engine. S capital, E capital. Copy these private properties and generate the getters and setters for them. Generate the getters and setters for those three private properties. Okay, so this is our Pojo class. Now after this, let's create a row mapper class. Right click on the Pojo package, new class, name it as search engine row mapper. Search engine row mapper. Click that add button in front of interfaces and add our row mapper interface. Row mapper from org.springframework.jdbc.co. Yes, select that and click OK. And just edit there itself. Remove the T and then put your search engine Pojo object. Search engine. And then click the finish button. Alright. So here is your map row method which is getting overridden and it is trying to return you the search engine object. So copy these lines of code inside that map row method. Copy those lines of code into map row method. Remove that arg0 and replace that one with result set. Copy this variable result set. Like result set dot get int of 0, get int of 1, all those things you are saying, right? So copy that variable. Yeah, copy that. Double click on that result set and double click on your arg0 and replace that. It is your result set variable. Save that. So your search engine row mapper object is ready now, which is reading the data of all those three columns using its getter methods and then setting those values to your search engine Pojo object. Accordingly, it is preparing the respective search engine rows into the data that is going to be returned back. Alright, so now let's move on to the DAO layer of the application, wherein we would like to define the interface and its implementation class. So right click on your DAO interface, DAO package, and first of all let us define a new interface. Say new interface. Name it as search engine DAO. S capital, E capital, D capital. DAO means data access object. Finish. And paste all these methods inside that interface. import them. Search engine object. Yeah, remove that ampersand LT semicolon and replace it with less than. Right. Import that java.util.list. Why space? No need of space. Right. So all those methods you got in your interface. Save them. Now let's create a new class which will be implementing this interface. So right click on the DAO interface, DAO package. Say new class. Search engine DAO IMPL. Right. And in front of interfaces, click that add button and pass your search engine DAO. Type search engine DAO. Yeah, select that. Okay. And then click the finish button. So whatever the 5 methods you wrote in your DAO interface, they are all getting overridden here by using this implementation class. So it is providing you the appropriate to-do lines as of now. So going forward, you can keep on adding the lines of code that is needed for all these methods, whatever the logic you would like to implement. Like while adding a new search engine, how do you want to do that? And while updating, while getting one single search engine based on the given ID, right? And then while deleting the search engine, or while retrieving all the search engine data, which is going to return you the list object of all search engines, right? So that is how all these methods are getting overridden by this implementation classes, right? So this class is going to interact with your database. That job should be done by using JDBC template. So that JDBC template object need to be automatically wired into this layer. So copy this @autowired tag, which is going to wiring my JDBC template object. So copy these 2 lines at line number 8. Press Ctrl Shift O, Ctrl Shift F. Right. So your JDBC template object is automatically wired and a variable is declared over there. And then at the top of this class, like the way controller class is declared with @controller annotation, this DAO implementation class need to be marked as @repository. So copy this and paste it at line number 9. Means this class will be considered as the repository component in my project. Press Ctrl Shift F. Then first of all, let us implement this what do you call last method, get search engines. So copy this query and paste it there. When copy these 3-4 lines of code that I pasted, and bring them to the last method, get search engines. Okay, press Ctrl Shift F, Ctrl Shift O. So you wrote a query called select star from search engine, and you are using your AutoWide component JDBC template and using the query method of it, to which you are passing your query select star from search engine, and also you are creating the search engine row mapper object. So accordingly it is going to return you the list of search engines, right? So this is what this one simple method you are trying to implement here, right? So this service layer, I mean this DAO layer is the one which is interacting with your database using JDBC template, right? And this layer should not be directly exposed to your UI layer, or it should not be directly exposed to any of your Spring components. So for that purpose, as per the best practices, we need to define an appropriate service component over there. So that is where this com.spring.practice.service package we wrote, wherein we will also try to write one more interface there, search engine service, and provide one implementation class. So go there to that service package. Same methods will be there, but your service layer is just to invoke the DAO layer. I mean, it is going to act as the component between your controller and the DAO. DAO should not be directly accessible by your controller layer. Why? Because your controller layer is the one which is directly accessible by the dispatcher servlet of your Spring framework, and it is the one which is going to create all your view components and all. So that direct interaction we are trying to reduce it to some other layer, so that a layered architectured application we are trying to build, right? So right click on this and create a new interface, name it as search engine service. Search engine service is our interface. Copy these methods into this interface. And then create a new class to implement this interface. Search engine service IMPL. Right. So this is going to override all your methods of your search engine interface. Okay. So this interface, I mean the service IMPL class need to be marked as @service component. So copy this @service tag at the top of this class at line 6. Okay, press Ctrl Shift F, and since our service layer is meant to act as the intermediary component between your DAO layer and controller, so it should be auto wiring the DAO component like the way JDBC template was auto wired in your DAO. So here DAO component should be auto wired into this service layer. So copy this. Press Ctrl Shift F. Then go to that get search engines method which is there at the bottom. By default trying to return null value there. Get search engines at the bottom, last method. So copy these two lines into that. Copy these two lines there. Right? So what is that we are doing here? Search engine DAO dot get search engines. No more logic. We are just calling the methods which are already declared in your search engine DAO layer. So you said search engine DAO dot get search engines. You know that the value that is returning list object, and that list object you are returning back to the caller of this service class. Right? So this is how the service layer we configured. Right? Now let us bring the MVC support. So to bring this MVC support, the very first thing that we need to do is go to web.xml. Web.xml, you will find it inside src folder. Scroll down. Main. Inside main you will see web app. Copy these tags. Copy them and paste them after line 6. right? Then we need to create dispatcher hyphen servlet.xml. Copy the dispatcher, which is the servlet name. Right click on webinf and create new XML file. XML file. Okay. So you are creating dispatcher hyphen servlet.xml. So that should be defined with all these tags. So copy them. So we are trying to declare our context. Replace all of them, ampersand LD semicolon thing with less than symbol. Control Shift F. It doesn't work. If it doesn't work, copy the remaining lines, then it will come. Yeah, after line 11, you need to copy the JSP view resolver, which is going to utilize your internal resource view resolver by adding prefix, suffix for creating the presentation components. So copy that bean declaration after line 11. Right, Control Shift F, and then declare few more things, because to start working with your JDBC template object you need to have the driver manager data source, right? So let us bring the driver manager data source by declaring all the properties of your JDBC driver class name, database URL, username, password, right? So declare those beans also. Copy them. Press Ctrl Shift F. So there are three bean components. One is JSP view resolver. Then the other one is property configurer, which is going to read the properties from a location of your webinf jdbc.properties, wherein all these properties are declared. So your webinf dispatcher file name should be dispatcher-servlet.xml. Rename that dispatcher.xml. You said. Right click on the dispatcher.xml and rename F2. dispatcher hyphen servlet dot xml it should be. Right. Yeah. And here your bean declared at line number 19, property configurer bean is looking for a file called jdbc.properties file. And using all those properties, it is going to create the next bean, which you declared at line number 22. That is a data source bean. So that data source bean is going to read all the properties from your jdbc.properties file. So declare that jdbc.properties file, right click on webinf, just say new file, file name jdbc.properties. Small j, small j, small j. If you look at the line number in your dispatcher.xml, we named that jdbc.properties. Even p also small, my friend. Line number 21 has declared that properties thing. Paste these properties in your jdbc.properties file. Just check that as per your properties things. I think your jdbc.database URL, it should be small b, right? So rest all are matching. So your dispatcher servlet.xml has declared a bean called property configurer, which is going to load all these properties from this properties file. Then these properties are utilized to create the next bean declared on line number 22 in dispatcher servlet.xml. On line number 22, what is there on dispatcher servlet? It is nothing but your data source. So that data source needs to have 4 properties. So all those property values are from your jdbc.properties file. So if you see that line 24, 25, 26, 27, value equal to $of within curly braces jdbc.driver class name. So where is this property? It is coming from your jdbc.properties. jdbc.username, jdbc.password. So they are all the values that you are supplying it to the data source. You are injecting them to the data source object, which is instantiating your driver manager data source, right? So taken this data source, like earlier in our JDBC practice thing, in our previous project, we created a JDBC template object by passing this data source to that. But this time we are creating JDBC template object and copying this, uh, passing this data source ref element so that a JDBC template object will get created for us, and that will be automatically wired to our DAO layer, and our DAO layer is wired to our service layer. Right? So nowhere we configure the things. So all our components are going to be defined with appropriate annotations. So that is what line number 10 says, context is annotation configuration, and it is going to scan my base package com.spring.practice, and all my transactions are annotation driven. The whole MVC is annotation driven, right? So that this is how the complete dispatcher-servlet.xml is configured here. So we are almost done with our application. Just we need to add the Spring controller classes there, right? So go to the controller package, right click on that and just put search engine controller. New class. New class is search engine controller. Paste this @controller annotation on top of it. Right? After this, here also we need to auto-wire our service component. So copy this auto-wiring, because our controller is going to call that service, and service is going to call DAO. DAO is calling your JDBC template. So this is how layer by layer communication is all about. Okay, then let's bring this one simple method which will be properly configured with the request mapping value and is going to return the model and view object for us. I think there is ampersand LT thing is there, so just go there till to the end. Yeah, replace that ampersand LT semicolon with your less than symbol and then press Ctrl Shift F, it will work. Import Ctrl Shift O. Okay, so this is the method which is returning as the model and view object, and here the view name is search engines. On line number 20 you mentioned that new model and view of that search engines within double quote. It is nothing but view name. And here you are invoking your service object, saying that search engine service dot get search engines. It returns you the list object, and that list object you added to your MV object as an object with an attribute name called search engines list, and you are returning that object. So where it will return? It will be returned back to that presentation layer which should be created with that name. So copy that name and create that JSP page. Line number 20, double click on that, copy that, right click on your web app, it's a new JSP file, name that one, .jsp, search engines.jsp. See here we know that we need to work with the JSTL tag libraries, core tag library basically. So let us declare these two page directive and the tag lib directive. Copy these two lines and paste them, replace them line 1 and 2. Remove your line 1 and 2 and paste this. Press enter. Right. Control Shift F. And here inside your body tag, you can copy these lines. And since we need to loop through our items, copy these things. Complete the table definition. Okay, press Ctrl Shift F and then save it. So items attribute, do you see on line number 21? Items equal to dollar of search engines list. So that search engines list is nothing but the object attribute that you added in your, go back to your controller, search engine controller. You said mv object dot add object. Name of that object is that search engines list. Okay. So now you need to make one simple change in your index page also. So go open your index.jsp. Press enter after line line 3. After line 3 you can press enter and paste it. And also you need to have that page attribute at the top. Before line 1 you can take this. Save this. And your search engines JSP you created at wrong place. So just select that search engines JSP. It is kept in WebINF. Just drag it onto the web app. Right. Save that. I mean it is already saved. Fine. Okay, now right click on your application and just say run on server. Go to your project, Spring MVC JDBC app. Then say run on server. Click that link. There you go. Right? So you are able to retrieve all the data of all your 5 rows, whatever you inserted in your table. So is the entire flow clear to you? The very first thing is web.xml gets loaded, which is loading your dispatcher-servlet XML, which is configured with all the beans required for our application. Right? And whatever the beans we configured there, they are all reading the jdbc.properties and are providing the data source object for us. Using that data source, JDBC template object is created for us, and that JDBC template object we are automatically wiring into our DAO layer, and that DAO layer is auto wired into service, and service is auto wired into controller. And we know that our dispatcher servlet.xml, as soon as you clicked on that search engines link, the hyperlink which was provided on your index.jsp, so your URL shows search engines. So with the help of your request mapper, your dispatcher servlet is searching for that request mapping value where it is. So where is that request mapping value defined? It is defined in your controller. Go to your search engine controller. There you can see that your search engine controller is defined with your request mapping, whose value is defined as search engines. On line number 18 you can see that. So this is how this request mapping value is executing this get search engines method, and this get search engines method is trying to return the model and view object for us with a given view name as search engines, and it is preparing the object called search engines list added to your MV object, and that search engines list is carrying the data that is retrieved from the service. So you are invoking your service, service is invoking DAO, DAO is executing your query using your template object. So that is how all the data is returned to you in the form of list. And that list you added to your MV object and you are returning that. So this will go to your search engines.jsp page, wherein you are retrieving the data of that search engines list and printing all of them in a tabular format. Right? So this is how you can say that your view layer is rendering the data of your model object. Make sense? Does this make sense? Any questions here? So we'll stop here. We did the data retrieval part, and we'll do the data updation, data deletion, data creation. We'll continue and complete this application tomorrow. Any questions? Okay, please share your feedback by replying to the mail that I wrote to you guys. keep Raja in CC because Raja is your coordinator, right? So based on your feedback and the confirmation that you are going to provide, I'll be able to collect your fees and all, right? So please give the confirmation, right? So saying that yes, this week we are left with 2 more classes. We are about to complete the course, and the course went well or the course went bad, whatever. Every comment is most welcome, right? So please share. Okay. Thank you, Pasha. Thanks for sharing your screen. Thank you, Josna. See you tomorrow then. And tomorrow we'll try to complete this application. Alright? I'll be uploading the PDFs, all that, so please download them. Okay? Thank you guys. See you tomorrow.